Meet your average architect. His name is Chris. Hi, that's me. I live in a small town. A lot of architects work in metropolises, not me. A few years ago, my wife and I were looking for property to live on. So even before then, there's a backstory. So we were living on a property of a friend who was letting us live in a trailer on his acreage. We were grateful for that, but a time had come when he was moving on from that property, and of course, then we had to go as well. So then that put us in a situation where we needed to look for a home. Pretty standard situation. A lot of people go through that. Most people do. Well, this area has been difficult to find a home in. The main reason finding a home in this small town area of Washington state is difficult is because housing prices are really going up lately, and they have been for a few years. Since pretty much COVID hit. Actually, even before then. And that was the time when we were looking for property was 2019, just pre-COVID. One reason why housing prices have been increasing is that a lot of people are making an exodus, an ongoing exodus, out of major cities. They're just getting tired of living in a giant metropolis. That leads into the second reason for the increase in property prices, and that's because the amount of rental properties around here is scarce. There's not much availability for rentals, nor for flat out homes to buy. There is always, of course, a steady rate of houses being put on the market, but there's many more people coming in than there are houses on the market. So it skews the prices one way. I'm no expert on this real estate stuff. I've just learned this during the time that we were going through this. And of course, the third reason for prices going up is that this is a geographically constrained area. We have hills on one side and we have a river on the other. And then across the river, we have another part of the city. And then more hills that are pretty much, you can't build on them, and not many people want to go out there. So area is small. All those reasons led to difficulty finding housing. On top of the high prices for housing, my wife and I had a particular situation, special situation, unique situation. My mother-in-law, her mom, enter the special need. We need a place for her to live that is her own and yet is nearby us. Think of an ADU. I didn't know much about ADUs at that time. Even as an architect, I was still learning about them. But we learned quite a bit about them in that time. In our search for housing, we found out there are not many properties around here that have both a house and an ADU on them and are within our price range. That basically wasn't a mix that we found, and we searched a lot. My wife did most of the searching, and she found very little. She found nothing, actually, that fit what we wanted ideally, or even close to that. We started compromising and going from one house to another, walking through these houses that are on sale. None of them really worked, and we just kept lowering our standards. And yet, that little voice inside of our heads, that our guts told us this isn't going to work.
My shoulder angel.
Then there was a turn of events. My wife started to think more outside the box, literally outside the box of a house, and she found a property with nothing on it, but it had some utilities. Not all utilities, but some of them, which of course makes it so the property is more ready to build on. Now you can see where I'm going with this. Once my wife told me about this bare property she had found, my gears started turning in my brain. I thought, I have experience working for a general contractor. I did for 2.5 years. And I have been designing single-family houses for them pretty much that entire time. I feel quite confident that I can build a house since I can draw them. Yeah, that makes sense. After this thought, I also knew that our goals were pretty simple. We don't have much money to pull from. Again, average architect, don't come from a rich family. And so I thought simplicity is going to be key here. So let's make simple houses. And then I thought, throw that dart at the dartboard, hit the bullseye. That's the idea. We are going with that. I was gung-ho for it. And so, full of naive confidence, we pulled the trigger, we bought the property, we bought a couple RVs, and moved down there to live in those RVs until we finished building the houses. We were in for a wild ride, and I'll tell you about that ride starting in the next episode. I'll see you there.